So hello, my name is LaJoy Royston. I am the program director for Trey Athletes. And with me tonight, I have Mr. Jerald Lewis, who is an artist and cartoonist who will be telling us about his journey to how he got where he is today. And I'm super excited to learn about that and also about what a cartoonist does. Because like some of you, I watch cartoons sometimes, but I don't really know how the cartoons get onto the screen. So I'm sure we'll learn about all of that tonight on this job shadow conversation we're having. For those of you who don't know, this job series is brought to you by Trey Athletes. Trey Athletes is a Dallas youth sports nonprofit, and our mission is to empower athletes to be leaders, role models, and influential voices for their communities. Our leadership development program serves high school basketball players and their families from over 40 zip codes across DFW. Our Trey athletes are headed to play basketball at colleges across the country and work every day to be leaders on and off the court. So we're super excited to have some of our Trey athletes tonight and also some others. And we are super excited you could join us. So again, thank you and welcome. We're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm super excited because tonight we have with us Jerald Lewis. Jerald, you are a cartoonist and an artist, yes?
Yes, I am.
Yes, you are. That's what you do now. But I'm sure once upon a time you were not a cartoonist and an artist. Can you go ahead and tell us about yourself? Where are you from? Where did you grow up? Tell us a little about yourself.
I grew up in San Diego, California. I left there around like 14. So like a beach life. And I moved to Baltimore, Maryland, which is a different type of East Coast life, colder and
Definitely.
different type of people. And I didn't really take too many art classes. Took like the mandatory art classes. It wasn't until high school, my social studies teacher told me to like really take it seriously. Since we had like a project, you'd like write a paper or draw like an illustration. And I just copped out and did the illustration since this was easier for me. And he was really impressed by it. So he like took me from that, like in class, to like walk me out of class, took me to the art teacher. And it's like, you're taking a class with her next quarter. So that's how I really like started taking it serious. But I've been drawing forever, but I didn't think it was a job either. I didn't know where cartoons came from. I thought just, one person did it, but it's like a whole endeavor. So yeah,
So that's really interesting because you said that you drew all the time. It was something that you did. You didn't really take it serious, and you one day ended up drawing a picture, and a teacher was like, "Okay, you're taking an art class." So a teacher kind of identified that you had this talent that you should kind of pursue more.
Yeah, it was really weird. Yeah. I thought it was just a hobby. It's just like, you make money off it. It's like five guys that do everything. That's what I thought. So I was wrong. But
So from taking that first art class, did your art teacher push you to pursue art when you went to college? Is that what happened?
She just introduced me a lot of different like mediums and different styles of art. She told me like there's a career in it, like you can go past high school and all that, maybe teach art one day. So she pushed me, and then I had another substitute teacher. She saw me doodling, and she was like, "You should really go to college for this." So I went to a college preparatory school in high school. So you have to like apply for X amount of colleges to graduate. So I applied for a couple art colleges. Didn't think I was gonna get in, but I got in one. But I didn't have everything I wanted, so I looked in other schools. But yeah, it's pretty weird. It's like late in the game, I thought about being an artist.
Okay. So where did you end up going to school?
I went to undergrad in DC, Art Institute of Washington, DC for 2-3 years for animation. And then I had like a gap year, and I went to SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design, for sequential art, which is just storytelling, comic books, storyboards, all that. So it's a lot of pre-production for movies, comics, any of that stuff. So it's just the main thing is just storytelling. That's our primary focus, yeah.
Was that surprising for you then when you went to school for art and you were focusing around storytelling?
It's real versatile. So it's not, there's more applications for it. So you can work in movie industry, you can work in animation industry, you can work doing comic books, advertisement. So it's a lot more versatile than just animation where you just do the final product. Okay. So with my skills in storytelling, yeah. I'm saying with storytelling, yeah, you can work in pre-production and work in a bunch of different studios.
Okay. Is that what your degree was in when you went to school? When you majored in?
Yes. Yeah, sequential art, storytelling.
Sequential art. That's what it's called.
It's just a
Okay. I guess
fancy
these
name
things
for
started
comic
making
books.
sense. Well, I like that. I've never heard that. So guys, that's something for you to remember, that a comic book is another way. If you want to sound fancy, you can call it sequential art. Thank you. You just
Yes.
taught me something. Sequential art. I didn't even know that was a major. So you said that there are other avenues you can get into. You talked about movies, you could do cartooning. Are there other requirements that you had to take on in order for you to get where you are, aside from your sequential art degree?
Learn how to draw. It's a real, just basic fundamentals. Just if you can draw shapes, got to draw perspective, be able to convey a story or something through visual. So you have to be able to draw. Like the human body, take a lot of drawing classes, observation, just learn how to break things down, which is a big help. But if you can't draw, you're not going to really go anywhere.
So you have to be able to draw. So you were able to draw naturally, it sounds like, because people saw you doodling, did a drawing for one of your teachers, and they were like, yeah, you have some talent. Is that the case normally with people who go into this kind of career field? Are they people who typically kind of have a knack and are just kind of naturally, I guess, good at drawing things? Or is it more of a skill set that can be built upon? What did you experience of your classmates while you were there?
You can teach it. I think you can learn certain skills, but like the creativity part probably comes from you, your own personal experiences. But you can teach someone how to like draw a box and like break down the shapes of like a human body, and like you can figure it out. But to do your own thing, you have to make your own have your own experiences. Like it's visual problem solving. So if someone, why we need this character to do this, this, and that, you got to figure out a way to make it work with like the constraints, time constraints, the color palette, what the studio wants, time, So it's kind of like you're a problem solver. So if they want this character to do this, we want it at this angle, you got to make it happen. So
Wow.
being able to draw helps a lot.
It's just really interesting how you're talking about it, because now when I'm looking at cartoons, I'm seeing that there's a lot that goes into it. I didn't think about like how you have to solve a problem because you have an idea for the story, but now you're
Right.
saying now as the artist for this or the cartoonist, you have to figure out how can I draw these objects sequentially to tell this story. So it's a lot that goes into it. So I want to definitely point out too, though, as we're continuing to go through this, to all the attendees, if you have a question, we would love to hear it. Just go ahead and pop a question in. And then if you would like to come on video, we'd love to have you come on video and ask your question live to Jerald, and he'd be happy to answer your question. So we're going to continue to go through this because, Jerald, I know that you were a cartoonist for the show Cyanide and Happiness. Some of you guys may be familiar with the show. It's kind of similar to South Park a little bit.
Sure.
It makes it a little different, but it's kind of similar to South Park. But I would like to know how you got there, because did you just like graduate and then you landed this job working with this cool show? Like, what was your process or your timeline from when you graduated to getting to being the actual cartoonist for this show?
My timeline. So I graduated from grad school 2013, and so I had
Okay.
like had about, I don't know, 6, 7 months of not. I was doing freelance. So freelance work is just like the job by job base. So they might do like a project for like a week, 2 weeks, whatever. They draw off it. So I was doing that for a while, and then my friend was just visiting, and he went to school together, and he got a job in Atlanta working on another show for Bento Box, the guys that do Bob's Burgers. So
Okay.
yeah, in the
I
same
love Bob's
studio.
Burger.
Yeah. So in that same studio, they have other projects. So my friend told me that there's a job opening for a character designer for another project they were doing. So I signed up for that and got that gig for like 2 years. The contract ended, and then I went to uh, Georgia again. I left Georgia. I went to DC, and I came to Texas for another job for Silent Happiness in like 2016. So
Okay. And that's what you're
yeah,
doing now.
that's what I've been doing. Well, now the studio got smaller, money wise and all that, but so I just do freelance for Silent Happiness. So the case by case deal. But yeah.
Very cool. So I'm gonna take us back because you just told us about how you got from grad school into working on Cyanide and Happiness. I want to take us back though because I understand that you used to play sports when you were younger.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. In
And
high
what sports did you
school,
play?
football, track, and wrestling.
Football, track, and wrestling. Okay, cool.
Yes.
So those are some different kind of sports to play, but I guess they're different seasons, so it works out. I'm curious about how your experience as an athlete in high school, because I know you didn't play when you went to school because you were focusing on art, but I'd like to know about how your experience as an athlete helped you, or if you use any of those same kind of skill sets or mindsets now in your everyday life, and if it helps you to be successful.
I think that helps for me since comic books is more like a one-on-one thing, but like an animation studio, there's so many like there's like a pipeline. So you got the writers, you got directors, you got producers, you got
It's like a
storyboard
movie.
artists. Yeah, yeah. So it's a full team. So you got like pretty much like you got the coach, you got the star players, and everybody. It's a team effort. So it's like you got pre-production, production, and post-production. So everybody's has to do their part. So I do the characters. You have people doing writing. You have directors have to check everything. You go back for a lot of notes. So nothing's ever done the first wave. So if I draw something, it goes through one person, I go to another person, and then in post production, I might catch something, so they go through it again, fix that. So it's a lot of back and forth, and it's so there's like sound guys, you got voice actors, you got to match it with the voice actors, got to match with the other stories. So you got one story has to match with another story. It's a lot more than just like two people. My studio was like about 30 people total,
Okay.
which is pretty small. But there's
That's
other
small.
studios that have like 100 people, yeah. So it's way more close knit. So you can like go to someone's office and ask them a question instead of like via chat. But being a team player, you got to be a team player. It's not everybody can be all star. Some people do backgrounds; they don't get a lot of attention, but they're really important. You got voice actors, you got the directors, uh, producers don't get a lot of credit. So and so you just got to take a hit. You just like whatever. It's no point of like fighting for a certain thing if it's not worth it. You got to get it done. So you got there's a timetable.
That
So
makes sense.
yeah.
Okay, so I know there may not typically be like a typical day for you, but if you could tell us like kind of like what does a typical day look like for you in your career?
Okay, so for me, it's mostly you get Excel sheets like of everything you need to do, like to do list, and you have
Okay.
like a due date to get that done. So I pretty much just go through my list, try to break it down from like I know my speed and how I work. So I know when I can finish things at a certain speed. So I'm like, I'll knock out all these things, these assets. So I'll do props too. So I have to draw guns, I have to draw boxes, toys, and all that. So I'm like, all right, that's easier stuff. I'll save that for the end. The animators don't need it as much as soon as the character. The character is a little bit more important since that's where you see them mostly. And then you just pop in the props later. So I got to break it down of most important to least important. And yeah, you just got to know your own speed, your own pace. So I just pace myself. Also, I ask the other artists what they need, what's more of a priority to them for a certain episode. So there's a lot of communication. Sometimes you get held up by other people's process, but you just gotta make up for it. So like the voice actors aren't done, you gotta wait for them to get that in to like draw all this other stuff.
Okay.
And
So you have a very specialized, like your skill set is very specialized. Like you have to be
yes,
like so your sequential art background and how you're able to use that to build characters and to put together a story. It's something that like a lot of people can't do. So we actually have a question around that from Walker, who would like to know why did you choose this specific career path?
I chose the characters because I think they're like the all stars. They're like I'm drawing the actors pretty much. Like I'm creating like the main event.
Okay.
So I was like my appeal to it. And
Okay.
like when you watch
I
a
like
movie,
that.
you like the characters. Yeah. So
Oh, so back talking about the characters, and I love how you said that you're drawing the actors. So it's like the main event. That's a really valid point. We have another question from Nicholas who wants to know, how do you create original characters?
The best way I feel is based off something you know, like people you know. Like I was talking to like another character artist, like an older one, like he's a vet. I showed him my sketch, but he like all the characters he liked were based off people I know. He's like, I like this guy. It's probably a real person. I'm like, yeah, it's my friend. I like this person. That's my sister. It's like they weren't exactly my sister or like the real person. It's just they're based off of them. So you can kind of tell like who's a real person, who's like just made up out of nowhere. So draw what you know, and then like translate. Even people don't know you. It's just like they feel like connected to this person or this character.
Okay, I have a question then, because
Okay.
you said that. I love the question that I just that was a great question. I have a question then for you based off of that, because you just said that your characters are based off people that you know. When you draw a character based off somebody that you know, do you tell them?
I kind of let them figure it out, or if I want, I let them know if they want to be in it. So I've drawn people in certain episodes where people are like, "Oh, that's me." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah."
Oh, that's
It's a
really cool.
majority, yeah, yeah.
That's really
So
cool. So if
like
you ever
background
want to
characters,
you can go right ahead and do that.
it's easy with background characters, but yeah, I just throw people in there. Sometimes you gotta make background characters just for like just to fill in the space. So I just use people I know.
It's like an extra, basically.
Yeah, extras. Yep.
Well, definitely put me in there. I'll put that on my acting resume. Cartoon background character on a
IMDb.
show. So it's that you have a really cool, interesting job. Like, I'm learning so much about making cartoons and the process that goes into it. What's your favorite thing about what you do?
I like the people and also like the flexibility. Well, the studio I was at was more flexible, like the hours wise. As long as you get your work done, they were happy, no problems. So you just gotta learn to pace yourself and figure out what works best for you. And
That makes sense.
yeah,
Good. What about your least favorite thing?
um, I like drawing vehicles. Like drawing cars sucks, and you gotta draw them in different angles, and they're just so they're boring to me. There's like a lot of round wheels. It's just not. It's not my thing. Some people love doing that stuff, and by all means, do it. That's not for me. But yeah, it's not. It's the least fun part for me.
Okay. Drawing cars. That's a really interesting question. That's something
Yeah.
that you don't like doing. What do you think is a common misconception people have about your job?
Hmm. Um, well, the process, I think it's just all like, I think it's real easy. I mean, it's easy to an extent since I sort of worked through those like 10,000 hours or whatever to like make it look easy. Just feel like I do it fast doesn't mean it's not hard. Like if you can do it, you should do it. You should be asking to do it if you can, you know. It's like it's a kiddie job. I'm like, no, I mean, yeah, we goof off a lot, but you still got to learn how to, do your stuff.
You mentioned the 10,000 hour rule. What are you talking about for those who don't know?
To get proficient at something, you got to like do it for X amount of hours. It's not just like drawing, painting, all that comes in the same amount of hours. So I'm not just saying just drawing. Like I do painting, I used to do sculptures, I used to do all that. All that comes in the same, goes with the same hours.
Yes.
So
So you're
yeah,
referring to Outliers and Malcolm Caldwell when he
right,
talked about in order to be an
exactly,
expert or exemplary at something, you have to practice it for 10,000 hours.
right. I mean, it's
I did
necessary
not.
for anything. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I would like us now then to go through these images that you sent over to me. You sent to me a few, I guess, your process that you go through when you're designing your characters. So what's gonna happen, I'm gonna share my screen so you guys can see these pictures that he sent. And then Jerald, can you talk us through what we are seeing?
Could I see them too? I don't know if I can see them. You see your
You will be able
screen.
to.
Okay.
You'll be in a
Yeah,
moment. I can start sharing it. All right. All right. You should be able to see my screen now.
okay, I see it. So the
Yes.
first rough sketch. So before we get like, I get the script first. So we read the script. We do like a live reading sometimes. So all the writers, directors, we'll all sit in a room and just talk about it. I go to read through the script and like take notes of who's the main characters, how they want them to look, um, etc. So this story is like based off a Western, and the director wanted more of a, what's that movie, True Grit feel. So he gives me reference for True Grit and some other comic book Westerns, and I take those and try to make it in the house style of like the stick figures. I mean, stick figures they look easy, but you still gotta make it work. So I do the rough sketches and I go to the clean sketch for approval. And then if I get the final black and white approved, then I add color. And then after I add color, I still have to go through my process with notes. This isn't the full like feed. Like the most, it's like, so it'll be like 2 months to get this all like squared away. So then I give them like different variations of the same character, like color variants. And then we go to we size them up. Then these are when they're colored, most likely they're finalized. And then we got to draw different angles of the same character. So in animation, you got to flip them and see them move in all spaces for the show. So this character is asymmetrical, so everything's not like perfectly symmetrical. So he has a star on one side, so I got to draw his right side to his left side. So from left to right, for the cartoon, you see him spin around if you wanted to. But some shows you don't need every angle, but this one you want all the angles. So you gotta know, you gotta be able to see a 2D character in 3D space in your head and translate that on paper or computer.
Okay. Well, I guess based around this, we have a question from Taylor Bean, who would like to know, do you ever suggest changes to the original characters that in your opinion would look better? So I guess if we're looking at this, do you ever have suggestions or things you would think would look better, but the studio or the producers don't want to go with that idea?
Yeah, that happens a lot. I mean, you have your own idea of how something should be, but sometimes it goes through. If you can like have a good reason behind it. Like this guy, he wanted him to have a brown beard. I was like, that wouldn't work because this character is based off another character from like 2 years ago, and he was a blonde kid. So this is a grown character from like 2 seasons ago. So I was like, this can't have brown hair since he was a blonde when he was growing up. So he has to be blonde. He's an old man. So that went through. Like certain like features I added to it, like the scarf and all that. What else did I add? I added a scar. Oh yeah, sometimes they get lucky. Sometimes they're just like they're set in a certain look they want. Unless you have a solid reason why they shouldn't do it, they're probably not gonna like change their minds.
Okay, that makes sense. Another question coming from our audience is from Miranda, who would like to know, how did you find your own style?
This artist put it in a pretty good way. It's your style's kind of like Dumbo. You're just taking all these things you like from other artists. Say you like Miyazaki, you might like Mike Mignola, you like all these artists. You put in a pot and then you kind of like make your own thing. So it's like you put shrimp, put like meats and like sauce and all that and rice. It's just like, and that comes out in your, I guess your own like filter, and you kind of make your own thing. Like I have a friend of mine. We have like the same influences. So we have the same like character, like artists we like, but we draw still really different. Since he uses more, a little bit extra sauce than I do of this artist, I'm usually use a less sauce of this artist. So it's kind of like you make your own like percentage of your favorite artists, and then you come out with your own little, well, I guess your own little art baby of like what you you're just mixing stuff until like you feel comfortable with what you're producing.
So
Also, okay, go ahead.
no, it's on some of their music, because I know like a lot of artists, they'll, a popular question that like musicians are asked is like, well, who influenced you? Are there like some popular or famous artists who influenced your work that we may know?
A
Like
lot of comic book artists. Like who?
I said Picasso, and that's like the only artist I know.
Yeah, I look at old artists too, like Rembrandt. I like his painting style. I
Okay.
like a lot of cartoonists. So I like Steven Silver. He drew for like Kim Possible, did like Fairly Odd Parents. He's a really cool
Oh,
guy. Yeah,
so Kim Possible, Fairly Odd. I really like Fairly Odd Parents. Okay,
yeah.
cool.
He's a cool dude. You actually can like I like met him at conventions. And, like talk to him, email him, and he'll like get back to me. And I'm like, dude, he's so nice. But like that's the other thing. The art community is really small. So if you like piss someone off, it goes through the whole industry. Or if you're really
Um,
cool, everybody knows you're cool. So
well, I want to show people this other cartoon. This one that you have. You explain this one because I'm really excited because we're gonna see this cartoon sequence that you made, and we're also gonna be able to watch how these things that Jerald made actually made it into a cartoon. So you can go ahead and walk us through like this sequence as well if you like.
so this is like the initial sketches. So you wanted to like this is all written first. So they're like Superman type character. So I just gave him different versions of a Superman type character. And then he wanted um, just like your big strong man. So I
Mm-hmm.
gave him like, I don't know, 10 different types of faces to choose from. So that makes it easier for the director. If they don't know exactly what they want, you give them options and they can pick like A, B, C, or whatever. It's like, I want a little bit of A, a little bit of D, a little bit of G, and then it comes out to this guy. So
Okay.
after you finalize that guy, then you got to draw them different poses. So like the
Okay.
back pose, front pose, all these action poses from the original storyboards, which is those black and white drawings.
Okay.
So that's the first thing you'll see, and I got to like go off of that. And what else? Yeah, so all the different poses, all the different beats in that 2-minute episode, and then this is like it's just a spoof off of Superman and Clark Kent. So the
My
fat
favorite.
dude is Clark.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and watch this then, because this is your character, this Supermanish character, and we're gonna go ahead and watch it now. All right. Oh, let me unmute it.
Prepare for an unforgettable date with his girlfriend, Lois Lane.
Drat. It would seem that years of wearing unneeded prescription lenses has degraded my otherwise incredible vision. I can't see a thing without these now, but if Lois sees me wearing them, she'll recognize me as her colleague, the cuddly Clark Kent from the Daily Planet. Laser eye surgery, eh? Hello? How much for 2 laser eye surgeries? How many thousands of dollars? 2? Ah! Perhaps I could perform laser eye surgery on myself using my own laser eyes. Ho, 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 ho. Insightfully ingenious, Superman.
Very cool to see how your images and your cartoons or your drawings became this live animated series, well, episode of Cyanide and Happiness.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay. Well, we're going to continue moving right along. We have a few more questions from our audience. Jalen Williams would like to know, how did you learn how to draw? Because I tried to draw and it was stressful and took a lot of patience.
um, you just draw by copying for the most part. But after you learn to like find out what you want to draw, like what you like to draw, and learn to break it down. So like if you had to draw the human body, you gotta learn how to draw the head, learn how to draw shoulders, learn how to draw hands. Just break it down in like simple shapes, and then you can like assemble it, almost like those RoboCops or Transformers, like Voltron, comes together one complete piece. So just learn like the basics of like drawing lines, circles, just shapes. Like everything's based off of shapes. So you can break almost anything down into shapes, like squares, circles, triangles. And then you start seeing that and like anything, you're like, okay, I can break this down real quick and easy. And just makes it easier. Yeah, don't try to eat the whole like don't go straight to detail. Just it's all about like pacing yourself. Rough it out, and then it's like blueprint, and then you slowly build up to it.
I know they have like YouTube videos too. So Jalen, if you are really interested in learning how to draw, they do have like YouTube artists who will walk you through step by step how to draw something. So maybe try that, Jalen, if you're interested in going down this path of being an artist.
Or just watch
Um,
people too. I used to watch artists just draw and see how they move their hands and like how their process from beginning to end. I go to comic conventions or anything like that. You can like sit there and watch them draw like a creep, but whatever.
Another question we have from Ulysses would like to know, do you think being an artist has a connection to other jobs like architecture?
You can do both. Some people do both. There's one artist who's like a super good architecture, and he also draws Transformer comics. So that kind of translates well for him since he draws a lot of straight lines and like boxy things. So it's like an easier transition. But it depends what kind of artist you are. If you draw like goofy, cartoony stuff like I do, it's kind of a little different. But that's a good solid. But just being exposed to all arts kind of helps you, changes your brain a little bit. So don't just focus on one thing.
Huh. Well, speaking of your brand and on those things and other career paths, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I was actually thinking about being a teacher eventually. So I got my master's degree, so I'd like to teach one day.
Okay.
Have like a steady job. Sequential art.
Okay, what's your bachelor's in?
Animation.
Oh, so you have a bachelor's in animation and a master's in sequential art. Okay,
That's
cool.
right,
See,
yes.
I didn't know that. I thought your bachelor's was in sequential art. Okay.
Yeah.
I have another question here from an audience member, which is kind of goes on what you just said, because you were talking about being a teacher because you said more of a steady job. Because it sounds like I know you do some freelance work and you have to do some contracts. So how do you normally find jobs? Or do you build up recognition and get references? Like, how do you normally find jobs? And that's a question that we have that's coming from Norali Montero.
There's job boards, or you can go to certain studios, like their webpage, like their homepage, and figure it out. Or the best way is pretty much like the main way is just like who you know. Like it's a real like who you know type of industry. I got friends in like so many different studios, especially in LA. It's really like who you know. There's like 4-month contracts. So you work at Disney for 4 months, and you work at Cartoon Network for like another 2 months, and you're going back and forth. But all the studios are like in the same like 8-mile radius. So like it's almost like that's you should be in a system. Once you get in the loop, you're in there. So that helps. But yeah, most of the people, it goes by who you know. Like you talk to an artist or a director, or like, oh yeah, I know him from school. Like you should hire him or look at his portfolio.
So you mentioned too, though, because you just mentioned LA and how like there is like a small circle and small network though. And I know you mentioned a few other locations that you live for work. Do people in your field often have to do a lot of traveling to find new work when you're trying to get a new contract?
Probably starting off, you got to travel a lot more. But now you can like, since computers and all that's really good now, you can work remotely. So,
Okay.
but it's better to get in the studio first, so they can see your face, know who you are. So like, okay, this person's good for this work. I know him personally and all that. So
then building that network essentially.
Yeah, it's a lot of networking. I like people I went to school with are working industry, and that helps me a lot. Or went to my school.
Okay. So question then, because it doesn't sound like you initially planned on being a cartoonist or majoring in animation. What did you plan on doing when you were younger?
I was gonna be like a firefighter or something.
Right? This is very different. Very different.
No, it seemed good though. So you worked 4 days on, 4 days off. I'm like, oh, it's a good gig.
You could still be a firefighter if you wanted to. I mean, you said you were going to be a teacher.
Yeah. Who knows?
Change up a little bit.
Now just quarantines up. We'll see what happens.
That is true.
Fire's
So
always happening.
On the side of your like doing sequential art, I know you do like the drawing part, but do you ever have interest in possibly doing your own cartoon, like actually doing the stories too, coming up with the stories, not just the pictures?
Oh yes, most artists do. They always have their own idea of doing that. Like I'm actually talking to my friend. He's a writer for like amusement parks for Universal, and we want to start our own little thing. So we got 3 people right now. So we're slowly try to get that going.
Okay, cool. So we might see an original Jerald Lewis cartoon coming out.
Hopefully, that's the plan. Do my own
So
schedule.
that would be very cool. What are some of your favorite cartoons?
I like a lot of I like Samurai Jack, like Batman Beyond, like those superhero cartoons.
Okay.
I like Powerpuff Girls. Like it's almost like grown up humor, but it's really like disguised as a kid show. Like
Period.
Rick and Morty.
Okay.
Right.
Family Guy, all that stuff.
Right.
Okay. So I have another question coming from our audience, and they would like to know, have you done any movies? And that's coming from JT Owuiye. I'm sorry if I pronounced that last name wrong.
I haven't done
JT,
any movies yet.
have you done any movies?
No, I've done video games. I've done board games, card games, card games. What do you say?
Which video games have you done?
It's called Freakpocalypse. It's coming out on the Switch. I think this later this year.
Okay, so it's a new one.
Yeah.
Okay, and you said board games?
Yeah, board games, card games. So board game is Charlie Tom, and other Cards Against Humanity.
You
It's
did
like
cards?
I did some of it. I did some of the art.
Oh, very cool. I played that.
Yeah.
And I know Sign Out of Happiness also has a card game.
Yeah, that's their game. Sign Out Happiness. That's the Sign Out Happiness. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Very cool. And see, that's something that maybe people didn't know, that, you know, you need to, if you're an artist or an animator, that you can also help do video games and card games and board games. That's something I didn't even think about.
Yeah, my friend does a clothing line too, so you can do a lot of things.
That's true. Okay, so clothing was interesting though, because you just mentioned some other avenues you could go in from what you do now, but you wanna, if you, in 5 years, you said you might see yourself being a teacher. What about that? Like, would you teach art? Is that the kind of
Oh yeah, I'll teach art. Yeah. My thing was I wanted to get enough industry experience where I can like talk from a honest place. But there's some teachers that never like worked in the industry, but they have all this advice about how X, Y, and Z works. I'm like, well, you never did it before, so your words don't have that much weight to it.
Were your art teacher that you worked with in high school, who saw your talent, was that a art teacher who had industry experience?
She was more like contemporary art, so she wasn't in like I do mostly commercial art. She's more like a fine artist.
Ah, got it. So a fine artist is someone who like makes art that they sell versus someone who makes art that's used in other mediums.
Yes.
Okay. I'm learning.
Different type of game. Yes, different type of game.
Okay. So question, because like you wanted to be a firefighter when you grew up, and now you do sequential art for different cartoons, which is not what you imagined yourself doing. But if you could go back and talk to your younger self, what's a piece of advice you would give to yourself, knowing what you know now?
It's a lot of things. It's life choices. I don't know. It's mostly like I would say make connections like early on. I was a real quiet, shy kid. That's probably why I drew a lot. So I was like into myself a lot. But yeah, try to get out of your comfort zone early on. I didn't get out of comfort zone until like maybe mid high school, into high school. So try to break that seal early. Then you meet new people, learn new things, all that.
Meet new people, learn new things, get out of your comfort zone. So I know we have some triathletes and other people who are interested in art and maybe doing animation or something along those lines. What advice do you have for them, people who are interested in your kind of work?
Figure out if you really want to do it or not. Like, also you got to be able to take a lot of criticism. Like, art is subjective, so everybody's not gonna like your art. So you got to just take that, understand it right away. It's not like sports where it's like, it's merit. Like, I score X amount of points, so I'm better than you. There's no like real point system. It's like they like it or they don't. Also working with others. If you're working with a director, you guys might not see eye to eye on certain things, just let it go. It's not necessarily worth it. It's not your project. If like Disney is paying you, that's their project. Don't get attached to it. Like it's not your baby, it's theirs. So if they want you to make this character blue, make them blue. Unless you have like some really good advice on it, but there's no point in trying to fight it. You get like blacklisted. People don't want to work with you, and not good. So but people take criticism, and like that's how you get better. So I had a teacher just rail on me. It's like, that's awful. Do it over. So just like, all right, he knows what he's talking about. He's good. I respect him, and I think I've gotten better from that.
Are there things that you do now so you can continue to improve your craft?
Yes, it's really just constantly doing it. It's really weird. You just gotta do it, and also just try different, like look at different artists instead of just using like the same 5 artists. Try to find someone new. Like for me, I always find someone new, especially on Instagram now. Like all this, like you can just go through artists all day and like, oh, this is cool. Before you had to like really search for them. It's like, all right, I got these 5 comic books. These are my favorite artists. So I'm stuck with this.
Okay.
But
is it a very competitive field that you're in?
It's pretty competitive. Like for certain jobs, people want like the character design job, concept art jobs, storyboard. Those are more glamorous. Animations is kind of like the grunts. I mean, it's great. It's wonderful, but it's just like they don't get as much shine as the other artists, other departments. But if you love it,
what
like
it drives people then, knowing that.
Our friend's like really good at animating. Like he'll animate on those little post-it notes, like in 20 minutes, have like a whole little thing going on. Like we're in a waiting room and he just drew a whole scene, like some people running around. I was like, dude, you're like insane. He just loves doing it. Like it's just like in his head all the time. So you gotta really want to do it since there's a lot of long hours. So depending like on deadlines, like end of shows, might have to work like 20 hours or like 20 extra hours during the week. So it's not all the time. It's just for like, the deadlines.
So it sounds like it's a job that's filled by passion. So you really have to have a passion for it and love.
Yes.
Right.
You're not gonna be a millionaire unless you're like
you're
the
not
head of the show. Unless you're like the head of the show or it's your company.
Okay.
But it's for me, it's less stressful than like being a doctor. Like if I make a mistake, it's like, all right, no one died. So I keep my peace of mind and, sanity. I need that extra pressure.
Speaking of mistakes, because I know sometimes when you're watching cartoons, you may see something that may be like a little off or like, something that's gone wrong or a little funky looking. Who's responsible? Who gets in trouble when that kind of stuff happens? Is that on you? Is that on like the producer? Like who's responsible for that?
Sometimes it's called QA. At the end, you question the answers, or you look at the end product. Like sometimes we have days of that. We just look at anything we missed. But then sometimes if some studios send it overseas, like Korea or China or India, they have different ways of doing things and it looks off. So they have to go back and like fix their little mistakes. And there's a language barrier. There's all types of problems. And then sometimes it's too late. They just let it slide. It's like whatever.
So does anybody get in trouble or is it just kind of like too bad?
People get mad. People get frustrated, but you just know better. You just know what to look for next time. I mean, if you look at something over and over again, have I? Yeah. There's some things I'm just like, oh man. They just move past that. Yeah. I mean, you forget certain things. There's a lot of stuff. It's not major. You wouldn't know it unless I told you.
Okay. I think we have a few more questions coming in about where you work. Do you work from home or do you go into office? I know right now you probably work from home because everyone does, but normally are you from home or going to office?
Was the office. Our offices are gone now since it's over. But they're finding a new office. But yeah, the office is way better to work. I feel like to work in since I can separate home from work. else I could see other people and like bounce ideas off them. So yes, I used to work in the office. It was very nice. And it's like all the software's there and all that. So
Well, as a reminder to all of our participants in the audience, if you do have any questions, feel free to ask. Jerald will be happy to answer any questions that you have about the work that he does. What is the field like in the Dallas area? Is it like a vibing and growing area?
I think it's growing. A lot of students are moving to Texas. I think they get like a tax write-off or incentive. This LA is like, it's too crazy right now. Like it's real packed. But yeah, there's a couple studios out here. There's Ed was like a 5-minute walk from our studio. They do like Doom games and all those crazy video games. So they're close to us. The studios in Austin, a lot of gaming studios. It's a decent amount, but it's not as much as like LA. LA's like the hub.
Okay.
But I feel like you can. What do you say?
You wouldn't want to go to LA. That's the hub, but you wouldn't want to go there.
No, it's too much people. Too many people. Like everything's so like close. Like New York, I don't want to be in New York either. Yeah, I think Texas is pretty good. Also, if you can find a spot you can work from home, that's like ideal. So. Yeah,
so knowing that you used to doodle all the time when you were younger, do you still draw for fun?
Yeah, actually doodling right now.
Okay, so that's good. I'm happy that you still find joy in it because I know that's kind of something you just used to do and didn't think about. So I'm happy that even though you do it for work, you can still enjoy it and have fun. I'm sure athletes can relate to that. Where they
you do get burned out though, yeah. You have burnout days, but you figure it out.
Okay. Good. Got to keep the joy and the passion alive. We have a question coming in from Nicholas who wants to know, have you been involved in any anime? And if not, do you watch anime?
I do watch anime. I've been involved in an anime.
Okay. That's a very specific type of cartooning that is
there's like American anime. The studio in Austin, Powerhouse, they do like anime-esque style. Like Castlevania. I got friends that work there, so I just can't draw like that. It's a little different for me.
Yeah, I feel like it is. Well, I don't know. Yours is kind of because like I feel like anime is like really like circular when I think of anime.
The faces though, I can't do the faces. They're just weird. It's like little dot noses. I'm like, oh, it's weird. I mean, I love anime. I just want to like sit there and draw. I'm like, not as fun.
Okay. So I know that you mentioned too, like, as we're talking about anime and that's a different kind of style. Have you been places like from traveling where you've been able to see different kinds of drawing and art that has influenced your current style?
Yes, I've been in Japan when I was in college. That's that like helped me out. Like everything's like really visual there too. Like all their signs are like drawings and everything. So it's really nice.
Anywhere else?
Where else I've been? California, when I visit my friends, it's nice to hang out with all those other artists. But I just can't live there. So it's not for me.
Get it? You don't like LA. You're not a fan.
It's nice to visit.
It is. It is. I can appreciate that.
Yes.
Jerald, it's been really, really nice talking with you. And to all of our participants, thank you so much for being a part of this conversation that we've been having here with Jerald Lewis, who is currently an animator who does some cartooning for Cyanide and Happiness. We are happy that you could join us tonight. Jerald, you have any parting words for our participants who are able to join us?
Just hope I was helpful in choosing your future career. There's very little schools that have sports and art, so that's it's gonna be tough if you want to do both.
That's a valid point.
Gotta choose one.
Knowing a little bit more, and I know for me, I'm not going to look at cartoons the same because now I'm going to be thinking about all the things that go into making the cartoon happen, which I did not know before.
You get more respect for them too. Yeah.
Definitely some more respect for the cartoons. I think they deserve that. So for everyone who's on, make sure that you remember that we do have some more of these job titles coming up. We have one coming up on Thursday, and we have a few next week. We hope that you'll post on social media tonight and tag us at Trey Athletes. I'm gonna also drop that in the chat for you guys. And we're so happy that you were joining us. And this was LaJoy Royston, Program Director for Trey Athletes, and Jerald Lewis, animator. Thank you so much for joining us, and good night.
Good night.